Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Mile High Game Guys board gaming podcast. I'm your host, Adrian.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Jeff.
And joining us again is Andrew.
Hi, guys.
Welcome back, Andrew. It's been so very long.
Yeah, this is episode 4 for me as a guest.
Yeah.
4.
Yeah, I'm
That's
climbing the rankings.
That's putting you like on the top of the guest rankings.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I think
Ant's got it by a decent margin.
Wes and David have been here at least a couple pairs each, I think.
So some of them were also back before we split into two. So you're knocking them out in the twofers.
That's an interesting point. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I'll have to just jam asterisks on everyone's records. That's
Well, clearly we're going to need to, like, on
I'm
the
using steroids
webpage,
here.
start, like, a running tally of, like, what guest has been on the show and how much they've been on the show. Anyway, the reason that we are here for this episode is we are doing one of our in-depth reviews. And the game we are going to be reviewing is Civilization: A New Dawn. So, Civilization is a 2017 release from designer James Kniffen. Artist is NA on BGG. So
I just put the people that sort of did the PC game.
Yeah, and it's because most of the art comes directly from the PC game.
To the extent there is art at all. Yeah.
And it's published by Fantasy Flight Games. Plays 2 to 4 players and takes 60 to 120 minutes. Zach, do you have a rules rundown for us?
Yes, I do. In Civilization, you're competing against other nations to be the very best, like no one ever was. Each player has 5 cards in a row that dictate what actions you can do. These include placing control tokens, creating new cities and wonders, increasing your tech to gain improved cards, trading with other cities, and fighting barbarians, city-states, and rival nations. There is going to be a bar over your cards that has each of the 5 different terrain types. Activating a card lets you use its ability on the marked terrain or lower. You'll be competing over 6 different objectives, and the first to complete 3 wins.
Yeah, that basically sums it up.
Mm-hmm.
But
yes,
there isn't really that seems like, oh, that must be, it's a Civilization game. That has to be a gross, oversimplification. But it's really not.
Right.
They did a great job of simplifying the Civilization video game, Civ 6, and bringing it down and putting it into a board game that realistically plays in, just a couple hours.
Yeah.
So
our longest one's been about 2.5.
Yeah, and that was like a learning 4-player kind of game. Yeah. So let's start off with some initial thoughts. Andrew, you're the guest. What were your initial thoughts going into Civ? And let's use this time also to talk about if you have played the Civ video games or any of the other Civ board games to, that whole thing about where you're feeling about this game.
So for one thing, I'm a Civ lifer. Well, I did not start with Civ 1. I did start with Civ 2.
Not many people of our generation started with Civ 1, to be fair.
I've played one game on Civ 1, but I started with Civ 2 and played the hell out of that, and I've played every Civilization game since then. The Cult Powers, the Alpha Centauris, the Beyond Earths, all of them. And I've even played the card game that I think was based off of Civ 3, which was bad. It was just I wasn't even into card games, or I was into nearly as much of a gamer as I am now. And I didn't have nearly the critical thoughts about games that I have now from playing with you guys and listening to the podcast and playing a lot. But it was just a bad game. So yeah, I haven't played any of the more recent Civilization board games, but kind of wanted to and regretted that I haven't gotten around to it. So when I saw this, saw that Zach posted on our Slack channel, hey, I want to, play this game pretty soon. I jumped all over that. Yes, tonight, let's play. So
let's do this.
Yeah, that's where I am.
The first Civilization game came out in 1991, by the way.
Yeah.
The first Civ PC.
The first Civ PC game, yes. By Microprose.
Yes.
Wow. Zach, what were your thoughts going into this as the owner of the game?
Well, so to go ahead and clarify, I don't care about the Civilization computer game at all.
Yes.
Even.
Yeah, you're wrong.
I'm fine with that. I had played one of the Civilization board games that came out, and I think it was 2002. One of my friends got it in college, and one of our games took 24 hours to play.
Oh God.
That sounds about right for that first one.
Yeah, and we played it multiple times, and World War II always happened, which was always funny. But I remember seeing bits of art and stuff at like Gen Con and like little news things, and I remember I was at Black and Red, and I went to go pick up Legacy of Dragonholt, and then I saw that they had the Civilization board game, and I was like, you know what? Fuck it, I'm gonna get it.
I think did you also see the Fallout board game while you were there?
That was a different time.
Okay, I'm just making sure you didn't fuck me too hard.
No. Nope. Once again, I told you it was there. All you had to say was you just said you want it, not like I want you to buy it.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. So I really didn't have many expectations, especially because like once I looked, like I actually got it like a couple days before the quote unquote release date. So, and there weren't like any reviews really or anything like that besides some previews from Gen Con. And but when I started reading it and I started reading about like the focus bar and how that worked, I was like, oh, that sounds pretty cool. I hope that this actually works out. And I liked all the components and stuff like that. Spoilers. But I was pretty excited to try it out for the first time. And I wanted to see if it could actually be done in the 1 to 2 hours that it said it could be.
Right on. Jeff, how about you?
I first saw this game at Gen Con because I believe that's where it was announced, revealed at. I got a lot of pictures at Gen Con. I was like, man, that game looks a fuckload like Civilization. And I was really excited to play it. I wanted to see it. I was waiting for it to come out, and then it came out, and we were like, let's play the shit out of this game. And
and for the last 2 weeks, we have
indeed.
Yep. Yeah. Pretty much.
And then we were talking about our history with Civilization, the PC game. I've played literally all of them. I think top to bottom, many extreme hours with all of the Civilization games.
You just pulled up the list. There were a couple on there that I didn't know, but I forgot to mention Colonization. I played Colonization. That was not a great game, but I definitely played it.
That was the one that's American Revolution.
No, you're playing as European powers trying to colonize North America.
Gotcha. Which the one where you replayed the Revolution?
I think there is a Civilization Revolution and Civilization Revolution 2, which I was not actually
okay, that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
But definitely Civ 4, my most hours. Mm-hmm. Loving Civ 5, loving Civ 6. Civ 4 was definitely with mods and the Fall from Heaven mod, which is basically Game of Thrones with angels and demons. And is fantastic.
Huh. So I've played a good chunk of Civ games. Apparently I am not quite on you guys' level. I started with Civ 3. I played Civ 3
casual
with all expansions, Civ 4 all expansions, 5 all expansions. I played a little bit of Alpha Centauri, Beyond Earth.
Lot of Alpha Centauri. Yeah.
I think that actually might be the one I played the most.
Yeah, I forgot about Centauri.
Yeah.
And then I am currently still just playing the absolute pants off of Civ 6. Mm-hmm. It's like one of Megan and I's go-to, like, hey, we're sitting around the house, like, let's fire up a quick game of Civ 6.
But first, let's do dishes or else.
Yeah, because then nothing's getting done. Once we started, that's the end of the day.
Yeah. I am both married and have a full-time job, and so and my wife is not a gamer of any sort, which is there are many positive qualities about her, but that is not one of them.
She's an incredibly nice woman.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't see her enough.
Yeah, she.
It's mostly because I see you at game things. So.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. But yeah, I don't get nearly enough time to play Civilization now that full-time job and owning a house and having a wife and
not everyone can run selling those Girl Scout cookies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't have any. I work for the Girl Scouts. I don't have anything to do with selling the cookies. I'm on a different side. Don't email me about getting cookies.
I asked for free cookies. He said it can't happen.
Yes.
Yeah. Nope. Shut down.
To keep things on track a little bit, or try to get them back on track rather, because they've gotten too far afield here. So that's how those are, like I've got a solid experience with the video game side of Civilization. I knew there were board games for some of the other ones, but from what I heard, they were just ungodly long.
Yeah,
It's to the point that it was pretty much always like, why play this when you can just play the PC game?
There's been the Civ 4 version, the Civ 5 version, and now the Civ 6 version.
Yeah.
I played the Civ 4 version and ungodly long. I believe that's the same one you played for 24 hours, Zach?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
The Civ 3 card game was not nearly that long, but let me reiterate, it was bad. It was stupid.
It was bad.
I don't remember much else other than like I played it twice and was like, nope, I'm done. I'm out.
We can use this as Tinder.
Yeah. So I was really excited going into this one, especially after you guys played your initial game, Zach. I don't remember who all you played with. I think maybe it was the three of you guys.
Yeah. No, I was
not.
Zach, me, and Kyle.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, at Fiction.
Yes.
You know, and yeah, I was talking to Zach afterwards. He was like, yeah, like it actually played in less than 2 hours
As
with
our
three
first
people
learning
as a
game.
learning game
Yeah.
at a loud bar, like with distractions and things. I was like, oh, holy shit.
Yeah, when you guys were setting that up, I was like, good luck.
Yep.
Yeah.
Have fun. So once I
Have
realized
fun storming the castle.
Yeah. Once I realized that it actually like had the opportunity to maybe be what a board game of Civ should be, and that, you know, that being a condensed version of Civ, abstracted enough to play in a reasonable amount of time around a table while still feeling like Civ, I was like, hey,
And not
like, I'm super interested.
and not 2 to 4 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was
More
really
like
excited
before.
going into the game.
Yeah.
So that brings us to components. Zach, you own the game. You were the
Yes.
first to open it and take everything out. What do you think of those components? You mentioned you already like them.
Yes. Well, first I want to comment. This game has the most specific plastic bag I've ever seen.
Huh?
It's for the focus bars. It is about 1.5 to 2 inches wide by about 13 inches long.
And you had the best tweet about that ever due to the response alone.
Yes, I tweeted that out, and then Fantasy Flight goes, well, if you ever need to take some straws or long matches somewhere and keep them dry, we've got your back.
So kind.
Yes.
So kind.
Yes. But yeah, I would like the map tiles. I feel that they feel really nice, but also when you put them together, like I remember especially like when you build the core for when you're doing the actual building, like you put them together and it just sort of like a lot of times the lines just sort of like bleed away. So where so it just looks like one piece, which I really like. I really like how those come together.
Yeah,
I really like this.
These are
Go
a lot
ahead.
of really awkwardly shaped tiles. They're all like built from hexes, but then they're sort of just kind of blobby. They're all the same shape of blob, but but like what Zach was saying, when you fit them all together,
It's
they look
like the awkwardness of a knight's move in chess that sort of actually winds up fitting together.
yes.
Yeah.
You know.
Yes. I really like how like the cities look, except for the capitals, which it might just be my copy, but they sort of bend up a little bit on the bottom.
The plastic mold might not be the best
Yes.
quality.
Yeah, on that one. But I think like it's really easy to tell all the different terrains apart. Now I don't have color blindness, so I can't I can't comment on that because I know greens can sometimes mess with people, and there's 3 different types of green on this.
Yeah, I mean, but the shapes
But the
of
texture,
what's
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Plains
None
versus-
of us here are colorblind, but I think probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, you were
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah, plains
No.
versus hills versus forests. They're pretty well defined in their shade of green. That
And
Yeah.
the textures on them.
Yeah.
The
actual art.
Yeah, I'd agree with that too. And then, but I think otherwise, it's just like easy to tell everything apart. And I think the design on just a lot of the different components and the cards and stuff like that is really simple, but you're able to figure out what you need to.
There are a lot of components with this game.
Yeah. There are a ton of components. Real quick, I wanted to interject. There is one area where I think that they're not easy to tell what is what. And like
Okay.
the one that glaringly stood out to me on 2 different plays, and Megan, the one time I played with her 2 players, like it was one of the first things that she saw too. And she's like, wait, what's this supposed to be? The Grand Mesa Wonder, Natural Wonder.
Yes.
It like the tile looks like half grassland, half desert, and kind of vaguely mountain region-ish.
Yeah,
and
the
it's
natural wonders are kind of hard to like figure out. Like there are two mountains that kind of look like each other. There are two.
But at least like the mountains
But
clearly
Everest-
look like mountains.
Right.
It's. I mean, all natural wonders. Their difficulties 5.
Wait,
No. We're talking about telling which.
they are?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that in the rules?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, well then.
Oh, you were having a different complaint than what I thought you were complaining.
Yeah.
about.
Of
Okay.
like
No,
what
like
actually
the
goes on
one
that space.
specific wonder to me looked like it could be either grassland or desert because I thought they were based
Oh.
on what they were on. Like that
All-
there were
that makes
some
sense.
All
desert
natural
won-
wonders are always 5.
Yeah.
Okay, retract my complaint. That was me having a rules misunderstanding. So
I mean, I will kind of agree
but we
that
can-
like the pictures on the natural wonders are so small that it's kind of hard to tell exactly what they are and which
Yeah.
one's which. And but anyway,
and for some reason Everest gives you oil because everybody
Yes.
knows about Mount Everest's vast oil reserves.
that's why Nepal is so rich.
Aside from that, though, I do agree. I think the components are fantastic. I do like the blobby, weird shaped tiles. I like the interesting decisions, like especially when you play the more advanced version where you build the board. Like the blobby shapes can kind of screw you, or
Yeah, they can.
just make you have to place the tiles in a slightly different way than you would ideally want to do, and I think that's pretty awesome. I do vaguely wish that there was a better way to not have just a huge ravine sometimes in the map, because the rules say you only use those water tiles to fill in ones that are completely surrounded.
Right.
So like in our last game that we played last night, there was a big like trough running in where it effectively cut me off from reaching Jeff unless I went like way down and around this just blank space in the map.
Did you actually have enough water spaces to fill that in?
Oh, easily.
We could have, yes, but the rules,
Okay.
the way
Because it was technically the edge of the board. It wasn't.
Oh, I misunderstood. I thought you were just like there was like a 3 or 4.
No.
no, it was
Oh, okay.
it was on the edge of the board, but it worked out like a very narrow divide that went pretty far along 2 of the tiles. And the rules say you only fill the water in if they're completely surrounded by other tiles.
Which we have rarely ever done, built boards where there's like big gaps in the middle, which
But I
think
have
would be
seen-
interesting.
But I am seeing setups where that has happened.
Yeah, that would be really interesting to play. I'd like to do that.
Yeah.
But,
But
anyway,
we'll get in there.
yeah.
We'll get into that later.
I think we'll keep playing this game. Spoilers, but
Yes.
But otherwise, like I like the map tiles and the way they place together. I do agree that the tiles themselves, the general terrain is easy to tell apart. The markings on them are pretty clear as to what goes where. Another example, though, of like it could be better. It's stated in the rules, but it could be clearer in the rules. But even better would be if it was clearly marked on the board, or more clearly marked on the board. There are 2 city states for each type of tech. Like
4 of the 5 techs, I think.
yeah,
Yeah, something like that.
well, because
Astronomy doesn't have a.
that's
or
right.
like science doesn't have a tech thing.
science does, because there's red, blue, purple, and green. So I don't know which one's missing from those. But the blue's the science, the red's the military, purple's culture, green is production.
Industry.
trade.
Yeah.
So trade.
Trade's
Yeah.
the one.
Trade doesn't have it.
yeah, trade does not.
But the 2 colors, so the 2 reds and the 2 purples, they one of them has the symbol
Square and a
in a
circle.
square, and the other one has it in a circle. That's not readily apparent if you don't know to look for that. So, like,
Yep.
if you're
Which-
learning the game from somebody else and they set the board up and they don't clearly explain how they pick, then you're ending up like, wait, do I just randomly choose? Or,
Right.
unless you go digging through the rules and it's not particularly clear in the rules how you choose. It's like one line that's buried several pages deep.
Right.
So I think they could have done something a little bit different there. Even if it was like where if this is supposed to be the square one, like put its name. Like you have on the natural wonder space, it says Everest. You could have it say Brussels.
Does it?
I thought it did.
I
Maybe
don't think
not.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
No.
It does
I
not.
think it's just to help with
But that
with,
would be
language.
good because they're
language
yeah.
independent. So it's just the cards or the cardboard that cardboard piece that has the name on it.
Yeah, to be fair, this game is pretty language independent,
Yeah.
the cards.
except the action cards themselves.
The board is
The
language.
language.
The-
Yeah, the
yeah,
board
yeah,
is.
yeah.
But yeah.
But I mean, names of places. are fairly language independent.
Yeah.
Yeah, close enough.
I don't know. That's the only area where I really ran into a major issue setting things up where it was
City-state
what the
placement.
fuck? Yeah.
But component-wise, the one thing I have noticed on the barbarian movement spawn wheel, you had pointed out that the dial only moves one way, and the side of the dial that we keep having to push is starting to wear already.
After like 8 games or something like that.
The little arrow cardboard piece is like...
It's a circle with an arrow that moves around the circle.
Yes.
And it only ever goes in one direction.
But I mean, again, that's after like 8 or 9 plays. Like, there's a lot of people who are going to get this game where they're not going to play it 8 or 9. Like, most of my games haven't gotten played 8 or 9 times.
Right. The sad fact of modern board gaming. There's
Yep.
So if it's
our
showing,
wheel is showing wear due to
showing a little
average play.
Yeah. I mean, overall, I think the components are really good, aside from a couple very, very minor complaints that...
Yeah, all the card quality's great, all the token quality's great, dice quality's great.
This game actually made me sort of think about the fact that, like, 5 years ago even, this game would have been like, holy shit, this is amazing. Like, A+++, component quality. And now it's like, it's good. It's very good, even like A-.
Yeah.
But board games in general have leveled up their component quality, where like it's good, it's very good, but it's not like blowing me away good.
Yeah.
And the only nitpick I have is every wonder has its own unique cardboard piece to put under the city where it goes. Sometimes it's hard to tell which wonder's which.
Right.
That's only my minor nitpick, because they're all kind of tiny print and you have to match the print to the card that you're drawing, and the words for what wonder it is aren't on the tile, and it's on the card. But it's a nitpick.
Yeah. And like we mentioned kind of in the intro there, the art is all from Civ 6.
Right, and that's kind of cartoonish. The leader
there were
art
some people who had
cartoonish.
problems with that when Civ 6 was coming out.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm fine with it.
Yeah,
I don't have a huge problem with it, but I'm not a fan.
Yeah,
it's grown on me, definitely, having played it.
It's not cartoony. I don't know. Stylized is a good word for it.
They're no longer trying to
get
go
a cartoon vibe.
Yeah, they're no longer trying to go for a realistic.
No, they are not. Clearly by
But in the video game, I do appreciate that they all speak their actual languages, which I think is pretty cool.
As much as you can.
But that has nothing to do with as much as you can.
If they know what the Scythians were saying, I'll be shocked.
They did a lot of groundbreaking research.
Yeah, published a bunch of journal articles on it.
Yeah, I'm sure there are very very smart people.
Any other thoughts or anything anybody wants to chime in on components before we move on?
Everyone gets a tactile. That tactile is pretty cool.
Yeah.
That one's not showing where yet.
Not yet.
Nope. Right on. Well, moving on from components, rules and rules explanation. So we'll start with you again here, Zach. How was it learning Civilization the very first time in the brewery?
It was a little rough. The game at its core is pretty simple in terms of how you just activate a card, you do what it says, but there's always a lot of little things of, it's like, oh, when you're activating, when you're doing the culture thing, it's whatever the whatever the terrain is that you do, but natural wonders are always 5. There are always like a lot of like little things where it's like, well, in this instance it's this, in this instance it's that, especially like with combat, that I wish there would have been a player aid to help people who didn't know when you're starting, when you're learning.
Yeah.
So it didn't always rely on the person. So someone couldn't try and plan their turn around something, and then they try and like take over natural wonder because it looks like it's all grass or whatever, and they're like, no, they're always 5. And they're like, wait, but it doesn't say anything on here. And you're like, yeah, but that's just sort of what it is. But once you go into the actual rule book, like all that stuff sort of makes more sense. But it's a little annoying that especially when you're learning, you have to keep going in that direction.
Especially since Fantasy Flight in other games of theirs, like Star Wars Rebellion, does such a great job of having multiple reference sheets and things that help, go from like broad strokes to incredible detail.
Yeah.
It is a little disappointing they didn't have just a quick little like basic rule overview or like terrain value cheat sheet, like even just one sheet that you could pass around the table.
Yeah.
Would have worked really well.
Well, I'm glad that the focus bar at least has the numbers with the matching terrain.
Yeah.
So you could always reference that at least.
Yes.
Yeah. Plains, hill, forest, desert, mountain.
Right. I will say on that every single game of the 4 games I've played, and even right here just a moment ago with Adrian, there's been a moment of wait, is that the rule? I've been playing it wrong the previous 2 games, the previous 4 games, so.
I fucked up science the first time I played.
Hardcore.
Yeah. I fucked up.
You thought it was a tree.
I thought it was a tree, and it's just like, okay, you can go from 1 to 4. You don't have to get 2, 3, and then 4. You can just go to 4 if you got to 4.
Yeah.
Which a lot of those things are very counterintuitive if you are heavy into other Civ games.
Right.
It's very tree.
Yeah.
And it lends to weird situations too, where we've even had people come by while we were playing games at game night and been like, "Oh, you have nuclear tech with pottery?" Like, what?
I will say this. A lot of times, many times during this game, I will say it's like somebody brings up some weird thing like that, and I'll just yell at them. It's abstracted, so I can play it under 2 hours. Shut up.
Yes. And that is definitely the case. There's a lot that is abstracted. Like Megan came by at one point and she was like, "Where's all the troops?" Right. Yeah, because we're playing Civ 6 right now, and we've got troops everywhere, and it takes 3/4 of your turn.
And basically, your control tokens are your troops and your culture, and they're the same thing.
Yeah,
it's just that's your empire, and then in your empire you have all those different things.
Yeah,
so
you don't have to worry about warriors and archers and legionnaires.
They're all ninjas. They just appear whenever they want.
Yes. And one thing I always was screwing up is I'm building off of friendly control markers, not cities. I can build.
Cities count, but
yeah, I can build from my culture marker 2 spaces away. I don't have to go from my city 2 spaces away. I can extend my reach and build from there. The barbarian track, I guess you call it, wheel is pretty cool. Depending on the tiles that you build the map with, there will be barbarian spaces, and they sort of have.
There will always be at least a handful, but you can have as many as 8. Like that.
And there's a compass dial that's 1 through 6, and you roll a die every, I don't know, 5th or 3rd and 5th turn.
Right.
And they'll move, and then or you'll get trade goods or whatever. I thought the barbarian system was really cool, based on how random barbarians are in actual Civ.
Yeah,
I was expecting them to not play much of a role in the game because it's it's NPCs. They're just there for you to attack or whatever. But there have been many times when they're like, "Oh man, they just fucked up this entire corner of my board."
Yeah,
I've had many Civ games where they have fucked me up royally.
Oh yeah, yeah. You get unlucky with a barbarian spawn, and they can wreak havoc.
Yeah, they can.
Yeah. We the first game I played, it was me, Andrew, and Kyle. The barbarians just kept fucking over his capital city and all these cities around it, and he was just like, "I'm just gonna let that go. I'm just gonna not worry about that. I'm gonna focus on other things."
That's one thing I will one minor annoyance based in part from that game, but it's come up in another game too. When the barbarians attack your capital, because you can't lose your capital, it kind of is underpowered. They take away 2 trade tokens.
Kind of steal stuff.
They kind of steal stuff. And Kyle happened to not have any of the things that they would steal. And so he's like, all right, whatever. They can just sit in my capital. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
So that was kind of stupid. By barbarian or by other player. But,
well, by other players, you steal their 2 trade goods, but then that person gets those 2 trade goods.
Right.
So that's
a pretty heavy swing.
That is a pretty heavy swing. That's fair. But
especially
but the barbarians
you get to choose.
If you have other cities, I think the capital shouldn't be you can't lose this or something like that. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, but then you run the risk of people strategically losing their capital because this other city that I can move my capital to would be more defensive because you got to have a capital. In regular Civ, your capital follows you.
And once again, Zach's mantra of it's abstracted to make this game run under 2 hours.
And that's exactly what I was going to say is because it is a short enough game that having player elimination doesn't make sense. You don't want
I wouldn't want to eliminate the player. Yeah.
So you kind of just have to make capitals invincible,
right?
And then that.
So maybe if you don't have trade tokens, steal a resource. If you don't have a resource, do this.
Yeah, but I mean, but then where do you go from there? Like, if you can't take trade tokens, you can't take resources. What the fuck else do you have? Like, they destroy the wonder you have built there. Okay, that only works if you have a wonder built there. Like,
but I mean, at a certain point, then you're getting to like, I have literally, this is the second turn of the game. I haven't done anything, and that's okay for them to not, the barbarians not to do anything.
Exactly.
This was later in the game, and he had a ton of stuff. He actually wound up just barely coming in second to Zach in that game, I think, right? Or did he just?
He barely beat me through the second tiebreaker.
The second tiebreaker, yeah. So like, and this was like mid to late game, and he just happened to not have the one thing that the barbarians would take. So that seemed underpowered to me at that point. But maybe over.
I don't know how you could fix that with any rules, though.
Yeah. Exactly. It's just like a French case where it's just because of how this is set up, you'd have to change something inside, like one of the core things in order to get around that, I think.
The only other thing that was rules wise slightly confusing is exactly how like natural wonders and city states worked when you took them over.
Yep.
Like natural wonders have a resource on them. When you took control of them, they would kind of go to your civilization and they would be a permanent type of that resource. And
whereas there are other just like little chits from the board or from other things that you can just get resources.
Yeah, because you can get diamonds, or you can get the natural resource, that natural wonder that gets you a diamond just permanently.
1 diamond per turn.
Yes, 1 diamond per turn. But it just reduces cost on certain wonders. And then city states, when you take them over, can go on that focus card with that symbol and just give you a free trade good that you could use once per turn.
Yep. They're just constantly helping you with that specialty.
Yeah, I always had when we were playing, I always had a lot of questions of like, what's a natural wonder do for you again? It's like, well, it's a permanent one of those resources.
Yeah. Well, then like when you're attacking someone, it's, if it's a control token or barbarian, it's the terrain tile. If it's a city, it's the terrain ×2, capital city as well. If it's a, if it's a city state, it's just a +8. And then, like, when do you use the trade goods? Who gets to use them first and stuff like that? It's once you learn it, it's fine, but it can be a little counterintuitive, like just a little bit
Fiddly.
Of like just too many different choices in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
or instances rather.
And then depending on what civilization you are, those numbers can change.
Exactly. Yes.
Which I think we've been verging a couple times on getting into gameplay a little bit, so I think now is probably a good time to just go ahead and officially move over into the actual gameplay, especially as we're talking about different civilization powers and how that can drastically affect how the game plays, and positive or negative.
And I would recommend us go through literally the whole setup, because stage by stage.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because there are a lot of nitpicks in this game based on from civilization to board setup to placement to actual gameplay. So top to bottom.
Right on.
Wow. Choosing your civilization. There are way better civilizations than others in this game.
Yeah, they are not balanced at all.
There's some unbalanced ass shit on these civilizations.
I have still not played a game against the Scythians where the Scythians haven't won.
The Scythians are on plains and hills. They get +3 attack
and defense.
So,
and all capital cities and all city states are on plains.
Yeah,
plains and hills. Yeah.
So they just get a straight +3 against any of those.
Yep.
Which means technically they can attack a city state if their combat's on 5 and be at equal ground, whereas everybody else has to sort of work up to it.
Yeah, like 8 on 8. And all combat does have a die roll. So if you're on attack and defense, you'll each roll a d6 and add your relevant modifiers and see who comes across. The attacker can add their trade goods and tokens into it, and then the defender can choose if they want to throw theirs.
And there are some other modifiers that might pop up.
Wonders and such, but
yes.
But that is a huge advantage for the Scythians, especially because like in games I've played without the Scythians, you can run into a situation where if like one of the goals is capturing city states, where you take a city state, like you fight a hard battle, you spend some trade goods, like you really work hard to get your thing bumped up, and you take a city state, you beat its 8 base value plus the die roll, and then the very next turn somebody's like, oh, well, that city of yours is now just hanging out on a grassland.
And no longer has a city-state bonus, is just a city.
And that makes it really easy for somebody to just take that from you. Whereas if you're the Scythians, not only is it easier for you to take a city-state, now you're in that area where you immediately get a +3 bonus, which then gives you a little bit of defense right away.
Yeah, you're at a +5 instead of a +2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
but some weaker ones are like the French that based on their wonder. There's 3 levels of wonders: ancient, medieval, and modern. They whenever they do the culture action, we haven't really gone over all the actions in the game at all.
No,
but we'll do that later. We can do that later.
Yeah.
But
whenever you do the culture action that lets you put down your control tokens, depending on your highest wonder level, you get extra bonus ones to those.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is sort of like I don't really get my maximum bonus until like super late game, maybe. If modern wonders even come out at all.
Which they might not. They definitely half the games. I think 2 of the 4 games I've played.
I rarely have seen modern wonders.
I've seen a wonder once. A modern wonder once.
Yep.
Well, it seems like that one is like you sort of want to focus on building wonders so you can get that one.
Which is all well and good, except because of the way which I really like the mechanic for moving the cards up the track and like building them in power, and like I like that mechanic. However, because of that mechanic, it's not like it's really easy to just focus on wonders. Like,
especially because you need cities to build wonders, and those are both on the same card.
And then you need like to do 4 actions ish between like building a wonder and then getting the most productive wonder build.
Right. Unless you want to build cities on plains a bunch, which means they don't have much defense.
Yeah. So that one's not great. What was that other one?
Rome isn't very good.
Yeah.
Rome, I could see like there's times when I've in later games, because Rome was in the first game I played, and then we took it out for like the second game I played, and then it showed up in the third, and it was at least an option in the third and fourth.
I played
which
it.
Both people were like, "Fuck that."
No, I played it in the last game we played.
Oh, did
Romans. You? Yeah, it was. I played them in the first game and the last game I played, and the first game they were actually super useful. I used that power a bunch, but this last game didn't come up nearly as much. I used it maybe twice.
So their ability is essentially, they can send out their trade caravans from any city, not just a matured city, which, in case we didn't mention it before, that a matured city is one that's surrounded entirely by your control tokens.
Or the capital. The capital can always send out caravans, but otherwise you need a matured city.
So the Romans, and it fits with their characterization a little bit, like the idea of the Romans, like they were all trade and outposts and things like that. So it makes sense. And roads, yeah.
I've heard Andrew knows a thing or two about the Romans.
Just a few things. But the point being that there are some of these civilizations that are drastically better.
My choice in the last game was the Romans or the French.
Ouch.
Yeah.
And that sucks.
Yep.
Like the Aztecs, if they ever have like with your military card, you can usually attack 2 or more times. And if you are successful in any of those, you can take your 5 cards that you have once your military one is reset to 1 and just swap any 2.
Yeah.
That's
another super powerful one. If you can get set up with an early military bonus of some kind and then be positioned near a barbarian, I'm attacking a barbarian. Oh, I win. Now my
science that was at 2 is now at a 5.
Yeah. Or my wonder card that was at a 1 is now at a 5, and now I'm building wonders again, which are almost always useful for late game, for end game scoring, and also for the bonuses they give.
Wonders are super powerful.
They are nice.
So
unless they come up at the wrong time.
Right. Like pyramids, I'm looking at
like
you.
the pyramids came up at turn 11. Useless.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the civilizations themselves, some are pretty clearly better than others from our experience.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's usually like there's a few of them where like they might seem good and then they don't end up being as good, but most of them are ones where like you see them like we've been doing when we play most of the time, we deal 2 and you pick. And it's like, oh, Yeah, clearly I'm gonna be this. Like when I got Scythia in the most recent game, it was like, oh yeah, fuck, I'm Scythia. Like I'm not gonna not be the Scythians.
Yeah. As soon as you said like, oh, I know immediately who I'm being, I was like, he's the Scythians.
Yep. And you were correct. So
are there only 8 civs total?
Yeah.
Okay. For now, yes.
So that's one area where I really think expansions can help this game, especially if maybe they spend a little time and balance them out so that the next round of civs are all
it's not
good.
But it's also not final thoughts yet. So
right.
No, I'm just saying like that for gameplay.
Just saying.
Board setup, another divisive portion of this game.
So for the first game, they have a prescribed one. Hey, you should play this,
like a
very
balanced
Catan-like.
map,
a quote unquote balanced map.
But there's only one of those.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then after that, you have to build your own map. And it says after the first game, you should do this. I would not agree with that. I feel like
neither would I.
Play a couple games.
At least 2 or maybe 3.
And I don't think it would be a problem going back to the balanced map afterwards, even.
Yeah.
Like
because
I know the
when
next game at balanced.
Right. Yeah. We ended up using that once with Wesley or Wes.
Yeah.
And he
Different
had
people.
played before, and so when we finished building the map, he was just like, after we explained the game to him too, he was like, okay, I realize now that this map I've totally fucked myself over. Can we rebuild it? And we rebuilt it, and he still fucked himself over.
Not nearly as badly, but
not nearly as badly. And then when we did this with you, Jeff, you realized that you got fucked over. So that after we built the map, like I looked at it, I was like, Jeff, do you want to move your city to here so you actually will enjoy playing
desperately. Please. So we should probably go over the rules of map building. There's like 4 core tiles that kind of lock together in a specific way.
Yeah, so those are random.
Yes.
So you randomly take the 4 city-state cards and the 4 natural wonder cards. You
grab 2 from each.
Take 2 from each of those randomly. And then of those 4, you randomly put them in a line, essentially, of 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes, in a specific locking order.
And they're all either on their A.
Rectangle.
Huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're all either on their A or B side. Like you don't mix A and B's on the initial block.
Yes.
Then each player gets a capital tile.
Yep. Each player gets a capital tile and 2 other tiles,
depending on the number of players.
Yes. And then you place, and then you have to place touching a core tile with at least 4 sides, and they're all hexes.
You have to touch a core tile, and then your tile has to touch 4 other spaces.
4 edges total, including the core and other.
Yeah, and other tiles. So the first person, their first tile has to touch the core on 4 spots.
Yes. And then it sort of expands from there. We've come across many examples of someone being totally fucked where they have to be like, my capital's on the other side of the world, but the only place I can touch a core tile is on the exact opposite side of the board.
It's not as much of a problem in 3-player, but it was definitely a problem in 4-player.
Yes.
Exactly, yes.
And then it's like, this is literally the only place I can put this, and this is the tile I want, but it's on the opposite side of the map now. But,
and then the next person, because I took I took the last spot that touched the core, the next person didn't have that requirement, and so could place theirs.
They just had to touch something that touched the core,
which is any place on the board, so right next to their capital.
Yes. And like, if you end up being like, oh, I'll place my capital last so I can put it, my capital tile last so I can put it, in the most advantageous spot. Don't do that, because you're going to get screwed by just having it fucking in the middle of nowhere, and you're going to get stuck in a bad spot. And this is a game where, like, place your capital first, and
it's basically mandatory.
It's like Catan, that a lot of the times you could be like, well, I've seems like I've pretty much just lost right when I placed it.
Yeah.
Just based on placement.
Yes. Like knowing where to place, how to place the terrain tiles between you and other things. Like Adrian in our last game before the recording was surrounded by mountains on almost every side where he couldn't like get through anything.
Yeah, it's like,
and that's just how it panned out.
Yeah.
He still wound up winning, but
I did still end up winning.
Yeah. Well, it was Cydia. So
yeah.
I would say if like after you build the map, if you look at it and you're like, well, this person is super fucking screwed, assuming that your entire group's okay with it, like
have a
moving
veto
one
power.
thing, just like move one tile from one place, switch one tile just to try and make it a little bit more balanced if you can.
Yeah. Which is typically in other people's best interests as well, because like if one player
you want to trade with people,
you want to trade with people, and then you also want there to be like kind of a balance around the map so like nobody has one corner all to themselves, which is something that can happen. You're like, instead of there being like me and Zach over here and then Jeff awkwardly wedged in a tiny little sliver between us, and
and remember that his nation was all about destroying barbarians. There are no barbarians near him at all.
Yep. Nowhere even remotely close.
So you can do a lot of common sense kind of things with adjusting the map after you build it. But you gotta play the base map a few times.
Yeah.
Although, and this is where I'm gonna throw in a huge caveat, the 2-player base map is not balanced. The 2-player base map was bullshit.
Really?
Yeah, one of the capitals is very isolated and like mostly like there's one tile route through the water to the other 2 city-states and the other player. So it's basically one player with a barbarian and one city-state that's in the chokehold, and then the other player with 2 city-states and like 2 barbarians that are a little ways off. Like no. The 2-player base map is not balanced, and I would highly recommend tweaking that if you're going to play a 2-player game.
And one thing I wish there was more of, like official Fantasy Flight like base maps.
Yeah.
Just have a couple variants of the good.
I mean, I'm sure those things are going to pop up on BGG shortly.
Yeah. Custom.
Like, there's a ton of
maps.
great maps for like Twilight Imperium. Like anything with custom maps, like you're going to end up with fan ones that are like, this is one we've played a bunch. It seems pretty well balanced. Like people that aren't Scythia can win on this map.
Yeah.
Like,
I want some more standardized maps and not like random setup stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because random setup, just like Twilight Imperium, can be super fucky.
Yeah.
I mean, it can be awesome sometimes, but it can also be...
Yeah. Well, random setup can be really swingy, but then even like player-built setups can and usually do heavily favor people who know what the fuck they're doing when they build the map.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Which isn't necessarily fair.
Right, because the people who know what they're doing when they build the map probably also know what they're doing when they play the game.
Yep.
And giving them an advantage to start. Yeah.
So I'd say adjust the map as needed to make it a competitive game.
Yeah. Then after you've built the map and you've picked your races and you have your starting cities and everything, you randomly pick a starting player and now you're going. You're playing the game.
Oh my goodness. Let's play the game.
So this is where I think we could talk a little bit about the cards and what they
the action mechanic, action selection mechanic.
So we mentioned that you have this bar that has the train types with the numbers 1 through 5. And then depending on your race, you have a starting order of those 5. So some races might have pottery in the number 5. A different race pottery might be number 1.
Just to make it a little bit clearer, because I'm not sure that people understand this, you have 5 different areas of tech. You have a science area, an industry area, a trade area, a military area, and I forget what the fifth
Culture.
one. Culture. Thank you.
Well, like a card.
A card.
You have 5 different tech cards that
5
represent a
different
different
cards
tech
that
type.
all start out at 1, and each go in one of the 5 slots on.
Okay. I see. I see where you're. Yeah. So
the
tech
general
can go
actions
from,
of the game.
Yeah. So tech is divided into like 5 regions, or 5 types.
5 types.
Each of those 5 types goes from 1, the base level, to 4, the max level.
Right. The modern era tech of that.
And at the start of the game, you start with your 5 level 1 techs of those 5 different types of tech. And those are arranged along your little sliding track.
Yeah.
1 to 5. So sometimes the level 1 pottery might be your number 1 slot.
Right.
Or your level 1 pottery might be in your number 5 slot, depending on what civilization you have.
And the number 1 through 5, as we mentioned earlier, correspond to the different
terrain
types. Thank you.
Or like combat
from
bonuses,
plains to mountains. Yeah.
Things like that. Like wonder building bonus, things like that.
It's either the number, the slot number, or the terrain.
Or
like
sometimes
it matches one of those 2.
Mm-hmm.
So the 5 basic types of good. There is a military one, which starts off as masonry, I think, is what it was.
Yes.
And that one lets you do
either
it's
attack
for
or
attacking.
defense. You can defend.
Attacking or reinforcing your culture
which is
tokens.
the equivalent of defending.
Mhm.
But that's
Building
your
up
military one.
defenses for when you do get attacked.
Then there's an astrology card that is your tech advancement. It advances your tech dial based on what slot number it's in. So
and it goes from 0 to 24 on
Right.
the
Your
tech
tech
dial.
dial.
And whenever you cross a flag on your tech dial, you get to replace one of those 5 cards with a
higher level.
Level 2, level 3, level 4.
whatever the flag was that you passed on your tech dial.
And that's where Jeff had messed up in his first game. And it's important to note, like, you can go from a level 1 tech to a level 4 tech in one card.
Yeah.
Like, you can, if you cross a 4 marker on that tech dial,
Your
you
masonry can go to
Urbanization.
Which will happen at least once because
Or
you
to
only
flight.
have 2 twos
Flight.
and 2 3 flags on your dial. So they're like by the time you get to the level 4s, at least one of your techs will still be a level 1.
yes.
Unless you build the pyramids.
Unless you build the pyramids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
or if the pyramids don't come up, then no one buys it.
Then there's a level 1 currency card, which I can't remember what it is.
It's
Caravan
move
or
caravan
something?
Animal
force
husbandry.
bait. That's level
No,
2.
level
That's
2.
2?
Yeah.
Current. Okay.
I think it's just trade.
Yeah, I think it's
Like-
trade.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it might be.
But it is
It's
the
just
one that
caravan, move it.
One
moves your
caravan.
caravan, and it tells you, like, I think it's 3 spaces on the base card,
Mm-hmm.
and it's 1 caravan. Then later on the animal husbandry one, now
Right,
you have
get
2
2,
caravans,
and
and now they
then
can
currency,
move
you get
4.
3.
Yeah,
And you
so
can
on and so
also
forth.
you might be
No, sorry. The number 2 for that one is currency. Animal husbandry is the industry one.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because
But-
currency lets you buy off the barbarians.
Which basically lets if your caravan moves onto a barbarian, the barbarian comes off the board, but you don't get any bonuses.
For defeating it.
Yeah.
Unless you're that one race that lets you get a resource.
yes, the Babylonians. I wanna say?
No, it's Sumerian.
Yeah, Sumerians. Yeah,
Yeah, Sumerians.
Then there's your culture card, which starts out as like early empire.
Just put down 2 control
control
tokens
tokens
adjacent to a city.
Yep. And then there's pottery, which is your
Wonder building.
production card.
Yeah, build
Wonder
a city
building.
or build a wonder. Yeah.
And build the city like 2 spaces away, or build a wonder and it have as many resources as this slot.
But yeah, so if that's in your level 5, you have 5 purchase power towards a wonder. But the neat thing is that when you use that, it then goes to level 1 and everything else moves up.
Right.
Or if you use the thing that's in level 3, it goes to 1 and the other 2 move up, but not 4 and 5.
Yep.
So if you're like, if I spend 5, if I upgrade my tech 5 times, I can get to the next level. All right, well, my tech's currently at 2. I'm going to have to use all 3 of these, the 3 things to the right in order to do it. And it's like, what's the best way to use those?
Mm-hmm.
And then at and I'm a big fan of how you have to try and figure out how to use each one of these, how they'll fit together to work the
what
best.
What order is the best order?
Yeah,
exactly. Yes, and you're like, I need it. Like, there are times when it's like, I remember one time I was looking at my board, and it's like, well, right now this tech right here is useless because it's a 3. I need it to be 4 or higher in order for it to mean anything. And and you're looking at these other things, and you're like, oh, this doesn't mean anything.
I just don't want to do
And
currency, or I can't attack anything. Or
Yes, I remember literally looking at my cards once and like, I don't want to do any of these right now. Like at the level that everything is at, it's all garbage.
Yep.
And we should mention trade goods are a thing in this game. You can have up to 3 on any of these focus cards. And then they each no matter what the tech level is, they all kind of do the same
They
thing.
give bonuses to those
you get bonuses
cards.
by
So,
trading with other
on
civilizations.
science, if your science is at level 4, but you have 2 tokens,
it's now
6.
6, yeah, because you can tech up.
Which is really one of the only ways to build wonders, because
Yes.
wonders, like the cheapest wonder is like 7.
Yeah.
And so you're going to have to get trade goods and then resources.
Or some kind of bonus to negative.
And there are tech cards. If like the wonder building is in the highest slot, it's a 7, not a 5.
Right.
And every one of these cards, every one of these slots, there's 4 different cards for.
Yeah.
Level 1, 2, 3, and 4. which all have a variety of different things that we probably won't describe in full.
That'd be way too tedious.
Yes.
But you did have one big critique of those, right, Adrian, that you wanted to mention? As you level up, you sometimes lose the bonuses.
Well, no. So I don't think that's a critique.
I would agree with that. Yeah,
I think it's something worth noting that depending on what you're trying to do at any given point in the game, sometimes the lower level tech cards are undeniably better than the higher. Like there are times when you don't want to upgrade a tech because whatever its kind of unique bonus that it provides at that level is way more useful.
Right. Usually the tech is always better at the higher level objectively, but like in a specific situation, the lower level tech's bonus may be like more directly.
See, I'm not even sure I agree with quite that phrasing. Like, one of the ones I think of to use an example, currency. I was going to use animal husbandry, but currency is another good one. They both do this. They're both similar in this regard. They're level 2 techs, both currency and animal husbandry. So animal husbandry lets you, it's the replacement production one. Mm-hmm. So it lets you build a city on a terrain matching that slot value, or build a wonder with that using that slot value towards the wonder's production, or build a city adjacent to a caravan. So you can send your caravan like 10 spaces away and then build a city adjacent to it. Everything higher than it loses that building adjacent to a caravan ability. Yeah. So depending on how you're playing, maybe you want that. Currency. Currency being the other one, like currency is the one that we were talking about just a second ago, lets you pay off, air quotes, pay off barbarians. You move your trade people onto a barbarian, it goes away. If you move past currency, you lose that ability.
Does it?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I thought that was a bonus that carried on.
No.
Nope.
Once you have like steam engines and trains,
but you can
run over those. Yeah, you don't want to run over the barbarians with your train anymore because they're just going to die.
So
we have a concept of human rights now, Jeff. Damn it.
Yeah.
Well, that and barbarian swords are notorious for derailing steam trains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super inconvenient.
Now they're just Western bandits. They just rob the train.
The barbarians have leveled up too. Because remember, when you start out the game, nobody can go over water unless you're a barbarian. Barbarians can go anywhere they want.
Yes. But so it's not a critique. Like I think that's actually, I like that. Sometimes there's a tough decision. It's like, hey, do I want to upgrade this and maybe lose one of its sub powers? Like one of the other ones for the culture ones is like place your 2 tokens and then move one.
Yeah.
Well, you lose that later on.
Because placing your culture tokens is always just adjacent to a city. You can place them and then move one of them away.
I would say one, there's like a critique that is based off of that in a way, is that like when you pass the level 3 flag, you can't choose to get a level 2. You have to get a level 3.
Yes.
Yeah.
It says,
and same for 4.
Yes. Yeah. So, because I definitely agree with you, Adrian, is that there are times when I was just like, I'm happy with this one, but also I wanted to just get the 2 or the 3. And I was like, but I went to a 4 and I have to take the 4. So I feel like that's something you could sort of house rule in, that it's just take it that or lower.
I like personally, I think plan better. Like, I mean, you should be looking at the start of the game, looking and knowing you get at best 2 2s, 2 3s, and then everything else you're going to slowly go to 4s, and you're going to have to if you keep advancing tech. I mean, at some point maybe you stop advancing tech.
Right. At my best, I've gotten 4 4s, and the last one was a 1 actually. Yeah. But you're never going to upgrade all 5 to 4.
It's very unlikely.
It's going to be a strange game if you do that.
But no, I think that it makes for some interesting decisions trying to determine which ones you want to put at level 2 and level like that.
This game does produce some really tough decisions.
Yeah,
and it does.
And I dig that.
And that's only the focus cards that you do all your actions with.
Yes. Yeah. So then now you're in the meat of it. You're going around taking your action card. You do your thing, and then you move it down. Everything else moves up, and then it's the next player's turn. And surprisingly, like with few exceptions, there's a couple times where somebody will kind of grind to a halt on their turn where they're like, oh shit, do I want to do my 5 or my 4?
Right.
I don't know. Even I don't do it that bad.
I've definitely done it a few times.
You've only played like 1 or 2 games with me, Jeff.
It's true. In both of those games, it was like, whose turn is it?
Well, so 2 of them were game night and there were legitimate other distractions.
this game could go real fast, like
Yeah,
boom,
it
boom, boom,
can.
boom, and like a lot of
Holy
times I've
shit,
been
it's
like,
my turn
it's
again?
like, wait, did everyone know that I did my thing? Did you go, Adrian? Because did you know I went? And it's already back to your turn because sometimes it can just be real snappy. Sometimes you can. Sometimes someone's taking too much time doing their thing, and it's like, well, I'm the person after them. I'm doing this, and I'm putting these two culture tokens down that literally no one can affect and no one can do anything about, and it's not going to affect the decision that's going before me, and it can just literally skip my turn.
Right. Especially like, if you're upgrading tech.
Yeah,
Like,
and that was going to be the big one. Where like it's like, okay, I'm upgrading tech. Like, so I'm doing this action. I'm going to move
everyone
the car.
go on.
I haven't decided which tech I'm taking, but go ahead. Like, nothing you can do is going to really going to affect this. Like, technically, you could argue that
there
if you
might be
do
something.
I mean,
but
decisions could be made based on so and so. And
well, I would say this. I'm pretty sure there's a time where it's like someone upgraded to a nuke. And then you're like, I don't know if I want to go attack that person now. Maybe I want to go attack somebody else because they have a nuke now, and I don't want to anger the nuke person. Especially if the nuke person is also the race that lets them switch their cards around.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Aztecs. But you can. I mean, if you're on top of playing this game, it can go really fast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You only have to make some minor decision changes based on maybe where like barbarians move, and that's the whole turn.
Yeah, and even then, like those aren't decisions so much as you roll a die and then all the barbarians move in a direction. Like you might have like one of the wonders.
Okay, now I
move.
need to care about the barbarians when I didn't last
because they're
turn.
one space away from the city that they could totally wipe out.
Yeah.
Yep. And so then it's like you have two turns, like because it's never they move and then immediately move again. There's two turns in between those, so you can't be like, oh shit, this guy moved. Like I know there are plenty of times where it's like he moved and because of where water is and the edge of the map, you're like, I have a 50% chance of getting royally fucked. I should attack these guys if I can.
Yeah.
If it anyway. So
and then you roll poorly and don't do anything against them.
Yep. And waste a turn.
That's never happened to me at all.
No.
Or
your dice rolls are always the best. Jeff.
Always the best.
Yeah. Or you do things like, I'll place adjacent to this barbarian. They're going to move next turn, but it's only a 1 in 6 chance they move in my they move in my direction every fucking time.
I really do like actually the thing that like if they're on the edge of the board and would move off it, they would go in the other direction. There have been a couple times like, oh, it's only a 1 in 6. Oh shit, no, it's a 1 in 3 chance that they're coming in my direction.
Yeah,
exactly.
They bounce kind of around.
Yeah, I think
analysis
it plays really smooth.
Paralysis can happen.
But not very.
It's not nearly as bad as
it should happen less.
Yeah,
and
to normal people.
And it's only but it's not like it's every turn. It's not gonna. It'll be like 1 or 2 times a game. You'll be like, all right, just give me a second.
This is
like,
a tough.
Something did just change. Like something changed enough in the board state that now I have to really make a real decision. Or like it affected my 3 turns in advance plan.
Yeah.
But most of this game, I've known 3 or 4 turns out, okay, I'm doing this, then this, then this, then this, and long as
that's because of the action selection mechanism. They're like, I want to get I need to get to that card, and what I need to get that card up to this level, and how do I do the things in front of that?
Correct.
Because these cards are there's a mountain down. I need to put a culture token there. That needs to be in the 5 slot for me to even put that there.
Yeah,
exactly.
Which is one of my favorite parts of the game. The terrain matches the focus card.
Yep.
Slot that only lets you do certain things in certain spots.
Yeah. It's a great way to implement the investment of time that you have to have in Civ.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's I can build a city on a mountain, but that city building card needs to be on the mountain slot, which is 5, which is the highest.
Yeah.
Or unless you're Aztecs, and then you can just kill one thing, and then it just goes there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
or that's like what Andrew was saying. You could just spam your city card out of that one spot and build a bunch of cities on grasslands. But those are going to be really fucking vulnerable to other players because they're going to have a really low defense.
Yeah, you're going to have to put a lot of culture tokens around them, reinforce them, get wonders that let you add defense or trade with people and get their defense packs. And
if you're continually playing out of that one spot, none of your other cards are advancing, so you're not getting anything better. So why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Because, Adrian.
Because.
Take a look at your life decisions, Zach.
Yeah,
Take a look at your life decisions.
Poor life choices.
But
I'm just gonna build a city. I'm gonna build a mega city. Just once the capital city surrounded by 6 cities, and then I'm gonna do control tokens around there, and then you guys can't touch that.
Are you building Megacat City?
New Fission City.
No, Megacat City.
I know, but there's also New Fission
There
City.
is.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Megacat City is the city,
SWAT cats.
SWAT cats.
Yeah.
Do you remember the
ever watch
SWAT
SWAT
cats?
cats?
About the 2 cats that flew fighter jets to fight crime. Oh, it was a great cartoon.
Great cartoon.
And that's children's cartoons is the theme of our Pandemic Legacy 2 game. So Megacat City is one of the havens.
I want to say New Fission City is where the street sharks are from.
Yeah, and
Nice.
and then the third haven is Fraggle Rock.
Yeah.
So
Guess who named that one?
They've got a better theme than we do.
I like our theme.
my favorite character in
Anyway,
Pandemic Legacy 2
we're not
is
talking about Pandemic Legacy. We're talking about
Patty Mayonnaise.
civilization.
Patty Mayonnaise.
So for gameplay stuff still though,
There's goals you have to complete in this
Yes.
game that we haven't talked anything
Exactly.
How
about.
do you win this game?
How do you win the game? Murder everyone. No.
No, actually,
That's actually not a good way. Not a good
no.
way.
So there you randomly choose from, what is it, 5 cards?
Yes.
There's 5
Yep. And you
5
choose
goal
3 of
cards
them.
and you choose 3 of them. Each goal card has 2 possible goals on it that are usually roughly tied. Like sometimes it'll be like, the military card is attack 1 player capital, take over 2 city-state, or take over 2 city-states for the 1 goal. Or the secondary goal is build 2 military tech. So
Right.
that's the military card. There might be another one for like culture where it's, have 5 matured cities or build 2 culture wonders.
Right.
4 of the 5 cards have as their secondary build 2 wonders of a certain type. I don't know what this. Oh, and then the 5th one is max out your tech dial. Which when that comes out, it's like, okay, well, that's clearly what's
And
happening.
I've never played a game
that one is part of that's the 2 science wonders on that one too. Because I remember I actually got 2 science wonders before I upgraded my tech tile.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
then I don't know. What
It
the
was
one
it
is
was
then.
Explorer and Natural Wonders. So it's
That's
all it's
right.
it's get 2 wonders or something else.
2
Natural
natural
wonders.
wonders.
Or 2 world
Well, no,
wonders.
I just mean
or
every card has 2 wonders on it.
of
you-
either
you need-
natural or world.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like 8 matured or like 8 cities out, 5 matured cities have 15 control around the edge or
Or on
water.
Yeah.
Yeah, a
Stuff
lot-
like that.
Yes, stuff like that.
And you need to win the game. You need to have 1 token on each of the 3 cards, and
So
it
you
can
can
go on
do-
either one of
Yeah.
the 2 that are on that
Yeah,
card.
you can't
It's
do 2 on the
useless.
one.
You
on the same
can, but
card.
it's pointless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't get an extra token for it.
No.
And then the game ends at the end of the round in which somebody got their 3rd one. So if the first player claims their 3rd one, everybody else still gets to finish that round.
And then it goes to tiebreakers.
Yeah. Whereas as is the case in like 2 of the 3 games that I've won, I was the last player of each round and was like, oh, I won, and the game is just now over. Suck it, bitches.
Yep, that's always my go-to Splendor move. That always
Yeah.
feels great when that
Yeah.
happens.
No one else gets another turn.
Because once you get these goals, no matter what happens, no one can take them away from you.
Right.
Yes.
So if you've achieved it, it is yours.
Yeah. So like if you've done I conquer 2 city-states,
And then
and
lose
you
one.
claim it, but then somebody comes and takes those 2 city-states away, you don't lose your goal. Like you achieved that at some point in the game that is locked in for your point value.
Yes.
And I'm sure none of us have any complaints on how these end games work or goals or anything, right?
I think
These
this is
are-
one of the weakest areas of the game. I think so. As I said after our game yesterday, not to get too far or to spoil too much of final thoughts, this game is weakest at its ends. The beginning and the end. It's great in the middle. But yeah, like coming down to the end, like you can just
It's like
get a
peanut butter jelly sandwich on white bread.
Yeah, sure. You can get lucky kind of with the way the game plays out or the way the tile placement is or what your race is and what the goals are in such a way that it just is easier for some person to claim goal cards. Like there could be situations where like, oh, I bought this wonder and then the wonder that came up after it is cheaper or easier or better. And well, my wonder is back at the number 1 slot and now somebody gets to take this better one. Which then helps them with a different thing, which helps them with their next thing. And then 3 turns later, they've claimed 3 things because of this like domino chain reaction. Plus, I think a lot of the victory conditions feel anticlimactic a little bit.
Yeah, they're not. I mean, I know they want to keep it under 2 hours, and I applaud them for that. But they don't.
Because even at 4 players, it's a reasonable game time.
It was like 2.5 hours, not the 2 hours they said, but it was still not bad. Honestly,
so I will say it does come with a quote unquote epic game variant of you just play with 4 instead of 3.
Yeah.
So if you want to make it like if you feel that if for whatever reason you feel like it doesn't feel long enough, you can add a different on there. But it's still, I can definitely understand the whole like. Well, they just sort of got the last objective, and
I was even
won.
throwing out that you play with 4, but still only need 3.
Yeah, I think that's a better idea.
Okay,
just to add some variance, and that's where you need. That's what it needs is more variation. Because my problem isn't like I've never felt like this game was too short. Like I think one of the strengths of this game is that you can play it in around 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think the endings just sometimes feel anticlimactic in that, like, hey, I just won, and that's kind of the end. Like, they're close games. It's usually like 2 to 2 to 3, or
it's usually a close game or a blowout.
Yeah, I've had 2 games that came down to the second tiebreaker, and on the second tiebreaker and second and final tiebreaker, it was decided by 1, like 23 to 24, sort of a
So. I guess
it was 1 marker away from a straight tie. There is no winner.
Right, exactly.
Yep. And that's what mine was too. It was I lost 15 to 16 tiles.
Yeah.
So
I lost to Wes in our third game, 24 to 23 on the tiles.
Yep. And I could have king-maked that to straight.
You tried
tie.
to.
I tried.
Failed.
It was not good odds. I could have just made it a tie.
Yeah.
With no die rolls.
I'm okay with you not king-making me the win, but
it's fine.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know, like, because we talked about it for a little bit after the game yesterday, like, if you wanted to make it more like a Civ, like the Civ computer game, where like there's a legit military victory or a tech victory or a culture victory, and how you could base it around those to where like you have to, if you accomplish this one thing in this one specific area that's going to take a lot of dedication and focus, then you just instantly win.
Right, and it would have to be much higher goal than any of the the goals that they have set in the current game.
But I'm just not sure that would ultimately like work as well as I envision it in my brain. Like actually playing it out, like I can't imagine that they didn't try that. Like that wasn't like one of the first things in playtesting.
That's a good point.
Like
yeah, definitely, I would agree with that.
So
and then and then it's also like it seemed like if you wanted it to be a much grander one. Like it seemed, I'm trying to think of one where you could do it where it wouldn't just be like it'd be quicker. Like if someone else just does regular victory, then like I feel like those would go quicker than the big ones.
Well, so the big ones, if I was talking about big ones, they'd be an entire replacement. So it'd be like it'd be like instead of going for those little cards, like you have like the 4 victories are a military victory, a science victory, a culture victory, or a trade victory.
Right. But like the science victory, instead of in the current games, it's level your science up to like 24 points. In this case, it'd be like 39 points to get all 5 of your things to level 4 tech.
Like,
or something like that.
Like max out all of your techs.
Yeah.
You win a tech victory. Or like a military victory would be like conquer a city-state and attack every other player's capital. Or something like that. Like something that's like you really focused on military to get this victory. You really focused on science to get, the culture one would be like mature all of your cities. Like you have to get all of your control tokens around all of your, and like you have to place and then mature all of your cities, like all 8 of them,
But this would also drastically increase the length of the game.
It might make it 3, but I don't think it would make it more than that. 3 is still probably longer than they wanted the game to be. But
I just don't see it working.
Yeah.
For me, I feel like the game just doesn't go deep enough into each of those things to make it worse.
Exactly.
It's so abstracted.
Yep. Which is to keep it short.
Right.
If we really want it to be more like Civ, maybe we should go play like Civ 4 or something, the board game.
Yeah.
Just 12 hours doing
not the card game.
4 to 5 hours minimum.
And it's squares instead of hexes.
Yeah, and then you can stack as high as you want. Stack of doom.
one of the things though, like it kind of doesn't feel that much like Civilization, just because like the board never changes. The board looks the same when you're in the like first turn as
there's no age.
There's no
really.
age for the board. Like the text level up, the wonders kind of level up, but like the board looks the same.
Yeah, but I mean,
you're not unlocking uranium or anything like that.
You're not changing your cities from like little rustic towns into skyscrapers. They start as skyscrapers, you know.
Yeah, but you're adding control tokens. Like, there's no way to have done that without.
Yeah, I know. It just doesn't feel as epic as Civilization. Like Civilization, it should be epic. I feel like, or at least more epic.
But the game has been abstracted down.
Yeah, I know.
Play under 2 hours.
And that's a good thing. But.
Right on. Well, I think we've come to a point where we could probably go in to give our final thoughts and opinions on this game.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything else I need to
super go over gameplay or anything wise.
Did we talk about combat at all? I don't remember.
Yeah, we did
it's
die
heavily
rolls.
abstracted to
bonuses plus die rolls.
Yeah,
depending on where you're.
I like that. You don't lose anything if you attack and you fail. Besides the fact that you just lose your
wasted a turn.
Yeah, your turn. Yeah. So I'm glad it's not like, oh, I attacked you and I failed. Now I lose. I lose shit because of a bad die roll or whatever.
You can lose. I mean, just by attacking,
you lose time.
But just by attacking, you also lose any, like, if you've traded with them and gotten their embassy or whatever. But
those are easy enough to get anyway.
Right.
Because you can literally trade with them again.
Yeah.
Or you can just lose over and over and over again and never actually complete what you need to complete.
Yep.
Roll better.
Yeah. Roll better. That's,
Get better bonuses.
Yeah. Right on. Well,
I had max defense bonus against the Scythian asshole, and he still fucking rolled over that city like it was not a fucking problem.
Yeah, well, I've invested heavily into building attack wonders and things.
I invested heavily into defense wonder. I had a +7 to that city, which is insane in defense.
Yeah, that is really high.
And you have mentioned in the past, like, attacking bonuses are just way better than defensive bonuses, like top to bottom.
Yeah. So let's do final thoughts. Anybody in particular want to start?
I'll start.
Cool. Jeff,
thanks. I love Civilization, the PC games. Have for a very long time. I've bought almost all of them day one, played them for hundreds and hundreds of hours. I've played a lot of the board game versions, and they've all just been super long and just slogs. This is absolutely top to bottom the best board game version of Civilization there has ever been. It is probably not the best version of Civilization, the board game, but as Fantasy Flight does, I feel any expansion that would come out in the future with this inevitably will make this a fantastic game, much like Civilization games themselves. When that first expansion comes out, it just blows that game up to an 11 out of 10 because they've polished those rough edges enough to really expand on what makes this game great and kind of smooth out the rough edges of what makes the game not so great. More variety, more stuff. That's kind of just what this game needs. It's a fantastic game now, and you can dump a ton of hours into it, but when that, inevitable expansion comes out, it's will probably end up being a must-have.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I'll go next. Especially because it's a lot of the same things Jeff's saying. I really like the game. I enjoyed playing all of the plays that I did. I played it at every player count, 2, 3, and 4. I think it scales pretty well across the player counts and plays.
Did it take about an hour as 2 players?
No, 2 players took longer. So you can use 30 minutes per player as a very rough approximation, but it's I found it to be longer on the 2-player side and shorter on the 4-player side, typically.
It seemed to me, this is what I said after our game last night, that it's half an hour plus half an hour per player. So it was an hour and a half for 2 hours for 3.
It was almost 2 hours when I played the one.
Oh, okay.
No, granted, it was a teaching game with Megan.
Right.
And we were cooking. So there were distractions going on. But I feel like
the cardboard survived that. Congratulations.
we were cooking on the stove that we were playing on the table.
Still, spills happen.
We're good cooks. And then the 4-player, I've played 4-player twice now. The one game came in basically right at 2 hours. And then the other one was just under 2.5. So you can use 30 minutes per player as a very rough guide. You could probably go ahead and say the 30 minutes plus 30 minutes per player. But I think a lot of that's going to just depend on the group. You know, how AP prone your group is, how experienced they are with the game, how the game itself goes. Like, you know, if everybody's kind of doing their own thing and not really interfering with each other, then you'll probably be able to plan your turns out a lot more. But for that time frame, it's a solid game. You know, it's not going to get bogged down drastically out of that. It's not a game that says it's a 2-hour game that's going to occasionally take 4 hours because reasons. Like, you could count on it being around 2 hours max. As a Civ lover, I appreciate that the art is all from the current Civ that I'm really into and playing. I can see where the inspiration and a lot of the mechanics come from Civ, but as we have been harping throughout this entire review, so many things are heavily abstracted to get it down to that 2-hour realm that I kind of agree with Jeff. It doesn't necessarily feel super Civ-y. I still a lot of times feel like, yeah, if I want to play Civ in less than 2 hours, then sure, I'll play this game. But I don't ever really want to play Civ in less than, like, when I play Civ, I'm the kind of person who sets it to like the huge map, the epic time scale, and like, I'm just gonna be playing this game for like 6 fucking months now.
Yeah,
like
that sounds exhausting.
That's my kind of play too.
I love Civ, but I don't ever do fucking like long war shit on there.
Yeah,
I do like quick.
Nope.
Just blah 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 blah.
I even like to like delete a couple of the computer people just to have like some space to build out my thing before I start.
Just 2-player epic games.
Yeah,
we won't see each other
giant...
until I don't know the 1400s.
Yeah,
not that ridiculous. I just think like
if I could play a 1-player game of Civ and just like conquer the entire
planet, just
I am only it.
But
perfect game. Yeah, of Earth.
Solitaire.
Anyway, to finish this up here, I think that a lot of my flaws and problems with this game are things that will be fixed with more variety. I do think that the next round of Civ leaders needs to have a little bit more work put into it. I think the initial batch of 8 is too unbalanced. There's too much clear winners, clear losers, and then a handful in the middle. So I'd like to see, especially if they could have the next expansion be like a bunch of clear winners, so that you end up with like there's like 4 or 5 really good races, so that most games are going to have a pretty good balance of like good to medium versus like 1 good, 1 2 medium, and then like, oh, sorry, buddy, you got Rome.
Rome was the better of my 2 choices.
Yeah. I think that
and in a civilization game, Rome should not be a weak choice.
No,
Just gonna put that out there.
Yeah. So I think that expansions will help a lot. I don't have your faith, Jeff, that Fantasy Flight is going to do nearly as well as the Civ video games have typically done about their first expansion being like, oh yeah, this was everything I didn't know I was missing, and now the game is even like it's not. I don't think it's going to take it from a 10 to 11, mostly because I don't think it's a 10. It's a really good game. I'll continue to play it. I enjoy it. Megan and I are talking about getting it because we really enjoyed our 2-player play of it. But ultimately, I'd probably rather just play Civ on the computer if I'm going for a Civ game. As a 2-player 2X game, it's fine. I enjoyed it, so yeah. Zach, how about you go?
So I'm a big fan of this game. Gut reaction after playing this a couple times, I was like, this is solidly an 8.5. But I think what would move it up to a 9.5 would be, like what everyone's saying, an expansion. Basically, for me, if they added a Forbidden Lore style expansion, which is just more cards, it's just like it feels like there should be, for me at least, more nations. More of those objective cards, more wonders, more city-states. Yeah, more tiles. Just adding more so you don't feel like you're going to experience, everything within a couple games would just be perfect for me for this one. I really like the focus row mechanic. I think that was really well done. And as somebody who doesn't, like I said, who doesn't play Civilization, mainly because it takes too long for a computer game, that I love the time scale of this. That I get that feeling of I'm building up my empire. I'm expanding around, and then I'm coming in contact with other people. One of my favorite things in this game was actually in our first game where Kyle got a nuke. He nuked my city, yes. and then I met him for the first time. And we basically 2 turns later. That's the first time I actually came in contact with his civilization at all. And I just had this joke of he came in, and I'm just like, dude, get in the house right now. There's these metal things falling from the sky that are just blowing up everything. And Kyle's just like, yeah, what? That's crazy, man.
It's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Who would do that?
Yeah.
What asshole?
Yeah. But I really do. I really like the visual presence of this game. I feel like I wouldn't necessarily say, this. I wouldn't say this is like a gateway game, but I definitely say it's a gateway plus game. That it's real, like someone new to gaming. You could be like, once they've sort of gotten some games down, you're like, you could try this one out. This will show you some new concepts that you're not used to, and how a lot of area control and stuff like that. But it's the decisions you make from turn to turn are so easy to sort of understand that I think this is definitely a great one to get people into the deeper side of the hobby too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I could agree. Right on. Andrew, guest on the show. How about you bring us home?
Yeah, just go last. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen, guys. I kind of miss Jies.
Duders.
So go ahead and repeat everything that we've said.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. No, actually, so another thing that happened in that first game that I played with Zach and Kyle was, we were playing in the brewery, and so, random people came up that were part of game night and weren't part of game night, and one girl came up and looked at this and said, we kind of, explained the, 30-second version of the game. She's like, oh, so it's kind of like Catan. And I haven't really been able to get that out of my mind, that it's a hex-based, build your own playmat thing where you're, expanding from your starting point, and you can't expand too terribly far away from your expanding point. There's war, but it's not that much war. You can and it's mostly stealing.
Plus, it's a nuclear bomb.
Well, yeah, but even that that it's not outrageous. You're not. You don't actually destroy the city. You destroy all the control tokens, right? I think that's what happens in a nuclear bomb. But
yep.
But you just have an empty city.
Yeah,
yeah.
But it's if somebody took Catan and just made it said, hey, in the last 25 years, whatever, 20 years, 96, I think was when Catan came out. 95.
Something like that,
so 22 years. In the last 22 years, game mechanics have expanded, developed a lot. Let's take Catan and just give it modern mechanics. That's there's more to the game than that. There's a lot more to the game than that. But in a certain core way, I think it's kind of true.
Yeah.
But
build a road, build a city.
Right.
Trade.
Yeah.
And there's still a random NPC that can just fuck up your day.
Yeah, exactly.
He just doesn't always live in the desert.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Weird place for bandits to be, by the way. Yeah. Not much banditry to do in the desert.
No.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But no, I the first time I played this, even though I've played it 4 times, have not yet won, even though I came damn close against Wes, the third game. But
and we should mention all the games have been very close for the most part.
Except for Zach's one runaway victory.
Yeah.
Where I got my 3rd objective the same turn everybody else got their 1st objective.
Okay, that's a pretty ridiculous.
But we have had multiple games where everyone's getting their objective the same turn, or if they didn't win, everyone else was going to win the next turn.
Right. Yeah, it's usually a turn or 2 away.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I really like. But yeah, I haven't won a game yet, but I do really like this game. I think it might be my favorite game of the year so far. I don't play nearly as many games as you do. You guys, all three of you guys do. But yeah, I also don't like Lisboa that Adrian is like stroking over here, like making sweet, sweet love to.
Yeah.
But
now it's a podcast.
It's at the very least one of my top 3 games of the last year. And yeah, I really love it. I think it's, probably a 9 for me right now. I do it's a 9 on the hope that they do actually come out with the expansion. I haven't heard much about this game outside of our gaming group and how much we've been playing it. So I hope that it is getting as popular as we are, we're treating it right now. And that it does, they do bother with an expansion.
We'll see. We're trying to get out ahead of that hotness right now.
Yeah.
That's
we're
what this whole
we're
episode
at peak
is.
hotness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pushing through the airwaves of shouting out how good the game is.
Yeah.
Right on.
That's final thoughts.
Those are final thoughts.
We're all
indeed.
pretty positive on the game.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's got. It's not a perfect game. There's a few flaws.
Yeah,
but I
absolutely.
Think,
like all actual Civilization games, that first expansion is going to make this real good.
I hope you're right, man.
Yeah.
I really hope you're right.
I hope so too. If you are interested in picking Civilization up, now that you've heard Civilization: A New Dawn,
Right. Get the right one.
Yeah.
Not that Civ 3 card game.
Now that you've heard our review, it is in stock, both on Amazon and Cool Stuff, and possibly at your FLGS.
Mm-hmm.
And it's right in that $40 to $50 range. So pretty reasonably priced for what you get. So go pick that up. We didn't have any emails.
No emails.
No emails about Civ. However, there were some responses to our BGG thread. Zach,
Yes,
do you
there
have
were.
those handy?
I do. Derek says, I haven't played this yet, but it looks cool. I love Clash of Cultures, and this looks similar, just much quicker/lighter. However, a moving company packed up all of my games and all of my other household stuff, but none of that matters because they aren't board games. And I'm living out of suitcases for the next 8 weeks. And I'm sure I'm going to end up buying the game after listening to this episode. So thanks, guys. Now I get more shit to carry through Heathrow and Houston.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Yeah, it's good, and I think it fits in that quick/light. I think this could be a solid going forward. I could really see this being another good intro to board gaming game, where it's
definitely.
simple enough mechanics that you can teach somebody who's new to gaming and have them have that aha moment of I didn't realize this is what board games could be.
Exactly. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Next.
All right, next is from Mike. I haven't played any Civ games, whether video or board games, aside from the original SimCity in middle school. Would this be a good place to jump in for a total noob?
Almost the perfect place.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it captures enough Civ while being abstracted and light enough that it's not going to overwhelm you new to Civ. It's not like you're going to be trying to sit down and learn Civ 6 where you have districts and all that crazy shit.
Civ 4 was peak numbers versus
Yes. Well, the first two, the other two Civilization board games are 3.63 and 3.67, whereas this is 2.67 or something like that.
Yeah, and their weight.
On the weight, so it's definitely a lot easier to get into.
And PC version wise is what I was talking about. Civ 4,
no, I get that.
Yeah, Civ 5 and 6 is much easier to learn now than back in the day.
I think Civ 6, the districts are tough.
Yeah,
learning districts is tough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, for getting into Civ board games, definitely this is a good one. Just don't expect to go from playing this to playing Civ 6 well without doing some learning. It's
that's stone. That was on a tile in a board game I played once.
To reiterate, heavily abstracted.
Yeah.
For the sake of time.
But speaking of, the last person, Bryant, says, I love the idea of a streamlined Civilization style game, but I was wondering if this is too streamlined. Does the tech tree and the other parts of the game scratch that itch, or does it leave you a little unsatisfied? For that matter, is a true Civilization type game something that can't be streamlined / shortened too much before it becomes something else?
Yeah, so
I think that's where this game is kind of stretching the boundary of
it's right up against that line of being too streamlined.
That was a very
too
philosophical question. No, I don't
Yes.
know if this is a philosophy podcast.
Uh-huh.
Philosophy podcast.
Yeah, that's us. That's us. It's Philosophy Podcast.
Philosophy. I think that if you're trying to keep it into under 2 hours, then you're not going to really capture, and that's not just a Civilization game, a 4X game in general.
Right.
Like you can't in 2 hours encompass the expanding, exploiting, exterminating, and extracting from the 4X genre like in that amount of time, unless you heavily abstract, at which point it's gonna feel heavily abstracted and streamlined.
Right.
There is no tech tree, so like, does the tech tree question? Like, there's no tech tree. Like,
it's more
there's
5
tech.
bamboo shoots.
Yeah.
that
Yes.
just go straight up.
Yes. There's no branches
that you can just jump to the top of.
Yes.
You don't have to take the middle portion
like
at all.
bamboo. It grows
Go-
real quick.
Yeah.
Be a happy panda. Just go straight to the top. Of the bamboo.
So some things like that, like it depends on what you really want out of your Civ game, whether or not it's going to be too heavily abstracted. But you're right that we could almost have an entire discussion episode about whether or not you can get too streamlined or shortened. I mean, there's a reason like Mega Civ is a game, and people like do 12-hour con games of Mega Civ. Because you need that much time to really dive into the nitty-gritty of a Civ game.
And what I find funny is that like that sounds really interesting to me, but the fact of just sitting on my computer and doing that, I'm like, oh, this is just too much.
There's interacting with people matters.
Exactly.
A lot.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why I've shifted heavily to board games over computer games, because I'm not the sort of person to do video games where I'm like talking to other people while I play, shoot them up, whatever. So board games,
now,
I get the human interaction.
Now, I'm not saying like, wow, that was obviously its own thing where, that was
I don't know, like Civ the PC game fits a niche for me in that there's enough downtime that I can do other things, and it's like, because it is turn-based, like I can do my turn like while doing something else. Like if I'm watching a show and like, or a movie, and it's a really good part of the movie and I'm focusing on that, like I'm not getting killed while I sit there. Like it's turn-based, so I can just sit there and take as long as I want. Which
I would just be watching the movie.
I like for doing other things. Oh man, I'm so bad. My habits. I can't just sit and watch movies anymore. It's really hard. Like there's so many good movies that like, or TV shows that I know I need to watch, but just the idea of sitting down and focusing on just a TV show and not playing on my phone or not playing a computer game just seems boring.
That's why I can't watch sitcoms.
I need more stimulus in my brain.
One stimulus is not enough. You need 2 stimulus.
Yeah, I've ruined my brain.
This is why you watch anime, because you also have to read it too. So you can't just look at your phone.
Oh God. But yeah. So
it's and it's like streamlined, shortened too much before it becomes something else. I think this game kind of
it's on the border.
It's I would definitely agree on the border. Yeah.
If you're the sort of person that border is a bad thing, then maybe it's not for you.
Depending if your border is at about an hour and a half playtime or 4 to 6 hours in playtime. That's kind of hard to say.
Yep. But right on. Well, if you would like to chime in on this review or on Civilization, the PC game or the board games or anything like that, jump over to our Board Game Geek Guild number 2731, and add your thoughts to this thread, and we'll address them on the show in the future. That pretty much wraps everything out.
This wraps it up.
Yep.
I think that's it.
That glorious future where we've all advanced our deck tree far enough.
Indeed.
You can respond.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Emails, unfortunately, not a tech.
No, it is not.
No.
I will plug it one last time because as of release date, you've got like the weekend.
48 hours.
Yeah. To enter in our Lisboa giveaway contest that we will be announcing next Wednesday. We will be, however, doing the drawing and everything Monday when we record. So you have until Sunday night to get us your entries. There are 3 ways to enter. You can email us
Emails at milehighgameguys.com.
And in your email, tell us your board gaming disaster story. Since Lisboa is all about rebuilding after a disaster, we want to hear disaster stories. You can send us a tweet at MHGameGuys using the hashtag MHGGThanks. And in that one, we are looking for discussion topics that you would like to hear from us, mostly related to board games. But, I mean, if you want our opinion on things not board gaming, feel free to throw it in there. We like to ramble sometimes. And sometimes. And finally, you can jump over to our Board Game Geek Guild number 2731, where there is a Lisboa giveaway thread. Jump on there and tell us a little bit about your board gaming group, who you game with, where you game, how you game. Do you drink? Do you not drink? Who are you playing with? What are you playing? We want to know more about everything.
Who the hell do you think you are?
Who the hell do you think you are? Indeed. Who the hell are you? Yeah, you got about 48 hours to get those entries in from the time this episode drops to the time we draw a winner. So get on it. Yeah. Thanks, Andrew, for joining us on the show.
Thanks for having me again, guys.
Pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thanks.
Hopefully,
you sound so enthusiastic.
Yeah, right.
Thanks, I guess.
It's late.
Any more Roman fun facts?
Plenty, but I don't know where to start.
Okay.
Sorry.
Email.
Romans didn't have email. There's a fun fact.
Oh, shit.
That's a great
really?
fact.
Yeah. That is a fact. Yeah.
It's a true fact.
Yeah.
I'm skeptical. Sounds like fake news to me.
Alternative fact.
Yes.
But yeah, that wraps it all up. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to catch us next week as we are back to our normal rambling selves and everything and doing holiday doof. So, as always, I've been your host, Adrian.
I am still Zach.
And the world is the problem. The atomic bomb is the answer. Mahatma Jeff.
Thanks for joining us, Andrew.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Mile High Game Guys Board Gaming Podcast. I'm your host, Adrian.
I'm Zach.
Wait. Nope. You're Zach. I'm Jeff.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Hooray.
Hooray. I was like, I'm going to go second.
Zach's not here. I'm staging a coup.
We're not reviewing coup today, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So who are you guys?
I'm Zach.
Andrew.
Punchboard Media, where we all
bring something
to the table.
Pull up a chair
at punchboardmedia.com.